to order the local planning agency meeting at 5:32 p.m. on Tuesday, December 6th. Would you like to handle some preliminary matters?
Yes, Mayor. This local planning agency meeting of December 6th is being held with a quorum of City of Westlake Council, physically in attendance at the Westlake Council Chambers, 4005 Seminole Pratt Whitney Road. Public comments may be accepted prior to the meeting utilizing the electronic comment card available on the city's website. Public comments are also permitted at the appropriate time during the meeting. The mayor will call for such during public comment, and you may participate at this time utilizing the system's virtual hand feature and waiting to be acknowledged. Please note this meeting is being recorded, both voice and video, and to remember your mic may be live. I will mute any microphones that carry any feedback or interruptions. If you are a caller that has been muted, you may unmute yourself by pressing *6. Any person in the virtual meeting causing a disruption or being inappropriate will be removed. If I may also remind those physically in attendance, please utilize microphones so that the virtual audience and a clear recording of the meeting is produced. Thank you, Mayor O'Connor.
Fantastic. Can we please have a roll call?
Councilwoman Leonard.
Present.
Councilman Martinez.
Present.
Councilwoman Valleron.
Present.
Vice Mayor Langowski.
Present.
Mayor O'Connor.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all the wonderful folks in attendance here. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any additions, deletions, modifications to the agenda? If none, I would love nothing more than to entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve agenda as presented.
A second.
We have a motion to approve the agenda by Councilman Martinez, seconded by Councilwoman Leonard. Roll call. Councilwoman Leonard.
Yes.
Councilman Martinez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Valleron.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Langowski.
Yes.
Mayor O'Connor.
Yes,
Motion carries 5-0.
moving forward, thank you. Consent agenda. This section of the agenda consists of routine or administrative items that require final approval by the City Council and may be approved in its entirety by a single motion. There'll be no discussion of these items unless a council member requests such, in which the event will be removed from the consent agenda and considered on a future agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda by Vice Mayor Langowski, seconded by Councilwoman Valleron. Roll call. Councilman Martinez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Valleron.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Langowski.
Yes.
Mayor O'Connor.
Yes,
Councilwoman Leonard.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you. We have before us ordinance 2022-15, temporary structures and uses. City Attorney, please read the ordinance by title only into record.
Yes, sir. Ordinance by title only, an ordinance of the City Council, City of Westlake, Florida, amending the city's code of ordinances by creating an article to be determined entitled Temporary Structures and Uses, providing for the regulation of temporary structures and uses, providing for the establishment of matrix for temporary structures and temporary uses, providing for the regulation of sales models, providing for the regulation of temporary construction trailers and portable storage units, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a presentation from P and Z?
We do. We do. Thank you. Good evening. Jose Leon, for the record, Senior Planner for the City of Westlake. And we are introducing Ordinance 2022-15, Temporary Structures and Uses into the zoning code. And we can run through this very quickly. In temporary structures and uses, is all temporary uses and structures which are not otherwise treated by these LDRs as permitted use or conditional use in a particular zoning district, which are not otherwise subject to a special event permit and which are not otherwise prohibited under the terms of these LDRs, may be conducted or erected after obtaining a temporary permit. Authorization, the city manager is authorized to issue this type of permits for temporary structures. Unless otherwise provided, permits for temporary structure shall be limited as to time of service, but generally should not be permitted for more than 6 months. The city manager is also authorized to grant extensions for demonstrated causes. Temporary structures shall conform to the applicable structural strength, fire safety, means of egress, accessibility, light, ventilation, electrical, and sanitary requirements for the Florida Building Code, provisions governing temporary structures. The city manager is also authorized to give permission to temporary permit the supply and use the power of construction and function of temporary structures and uses consistent with any requirements specified for temporary lighting, heat, or power in Chapter 27 of the Florida Building Code, as reasonably interpreted by the building official. Use compatibility. These temporary uses must be compatible with the purpose and intent of the LDRs and the zoning district in which it will be located. And open cessation of the temporary use, any structure associated with the temporary use shall be promptly removed and the site shall be returned to its previous condition, including the removal of all trash, signage, and other evidence of the temporary use. Also, the temporary use shall not cause undue traffic congestions or accident potential as determined by the city engineer, given anticipated attendance and the design of the adjacent streets, intersections, and traffic controls. Nuisance and revocations, any temporary structures or use that become a nuisance violates the conditions of the permit, endangers the public health, safety, and welfare, is not maintained in accordance with the chapter, poses an immediate threat to public health, safety, and welfare, shall immediately subject to revocation by the city manager. And this is a table listing all the temporary uses and structures. It calls for which are permits, requires a permit, the reviewing department, the duration, and numbers of permits per year. We have the cell models, cells, management office, temporary emergency structures, tents, accessory to non-residential uses, temporary construction trailers, portable storage units, and temporary signs, which refers back to the sign code. And these are specific to each temporary use or structure. These are cells models, which are buildings that shall be used as strictly cell model, primarily for the purpose of the cell, similar buildings and land sites by the builder, contractor, or developer. The cell models may be used as a construction office or a general office. The determination of also a public emergency. The city manager also can authorize in any district the issuance of a building permit for a temporary structure upon determination that a public emergency exists or an overwhelming public purpose is served by a temporary permit. Tents accessory to non-residential uses. These tents are not part of a special event permit, may be used as a temporary structure for non-residential purposes only, accessory to the principal use. These tents for non-residential or event shall not exceed 4 times per calendar year at any given parcel, and they have a maximum period of 90 days. Tents shall be located on the lot so that it does not adversely interfere with on-site circulation and shall not be located in any required parking spaces. Temporary construction trailers. These are facilities that are limited to storage and on-site office work with no overnight habitation. These construction trailers, temporary structural vehicles used for construction offices remain on site only for the duration of the permit and the building of the construction of the project. All temporary structures and construction trailers shall be located on the site adhering to setback requirements as required by the applicable zoning district, unless such setbacks cannot be met due to special conditions or circumstances of the site. They all should be removed if construction ceases for more than 5 months, unless it can be demonstrated that a construction will proceed within 30 days from notice from the city. Then we go to certificate of occupancy, the abandonment, unsafe structures, and the portable storage units. These are allowed in all residential zoning districts and in residential areas in mixed-use zoning districts, so long as the following conditions are met. And we have two conditions for portable storage units. They must be placed on driveways or approved parking areas. They are allowed a location no more than 14 calendar days per placement with no more than 2 placements per year. Permit not required. When such use structures are part of a construction project or for the city or SID, they're not required to pull a permit. Also, when these are associated with a special event permit, not required, and also because the special event already has obtained a permit. And thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Staff does recommend approval. This will go forward with your recommendation to city manager of city council for 2 hearings, and be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Fantastic. So staff recommends approval. Mr. City Manager, you have any comments on this?
No, it's, we found some holes in our, theory to reality, and we're trying to close them up, but it also allows for situations like, in the event of the COVID situation where we had to have also, we could offer tents for setups, et cetera, after a hurricane, FEMA setup, those kind of things were not originally considered in our code. So this allows for those kind of things to occur.
Before I open up to council comments, one thing that I'll mention, and it's fairly evident, appreciate staff for doing this, is that we baked in a lot of flexibility
Yes.
on the city manager's part. City manager has the ability to provide this and provide that, and I want to commend staff because it definitely gives us the ability to do some things when
We can react quickly to a situation and issue.
and not have our hands tied by code, which is fantastic. I'll open up to council comments. Got a free flow of ideas. Anybody
I don't
have any questions or concerns?
My only question is, do we have any temporary structures currently in use anywhere in Westlake?
That is a great question.
Yes,
Yes.
we have several.
Yeah.
We have sales centers at the Minto site. We also have,
Temporary structure.
well, they're considered temporary structures because there's, even though they're permanent structures, they're not,
Temporary use.
they're temporary uses in the structure.
At some point, that's going to be a retail or a restaurant.
Right. Also, we have in like Sky Cove, they actually have a double wide trailer scenario on their sales office in Sky Cove too. It's actually trailers that are put together as a sales office, which is a temporary structure for the sales
Temporary
program,
use.
temporary use, temporary sales.
Eventually, the models will not be models.
Correct.
Right. They'll be homes.
And
or
in,
something else.
also in Coulter, what we've done internally temporarily is they've taken one of their homes and are using it as their customer care type situation. So that they don't have a separate building, they're taking a home that's currently being used for, if you have a problem with your unit or whatever, you go there, you talk to the people, they make it happen versus having some temporary structure set up someplace. So we're trying to account for those kind of things to make it flexible, but yet usable without having a lot of extra buildings sitting around, shall we say.
Fantastic.
This is a great ordinance.
State your name for the record, Nilsa, please.
Thank you. Ilsa Zacarias, Planning and Zoning Director for the City of Westlake.
Thank you.
Yes, so this is a great ordinance, and as Mr. Castle just mentioned, we really were needing this because we do have temporary structures and temporary uses. So sometimes a permanent structure has a temporary use. And sometimes a temporary structure will have also a temporary use. There is several different, there are different type of combinations, but we work as a team with our legal counsel also to bring together this ordinance in front of the LPA and later to the council.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it seems to me this is a bit of housekeeping that we've
Yeah.
needed for a while, and now we do.
It's clean. It's things like, also at this time of year, you have, whether it's Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, all of a sudden they throw it
Christmas
with the
tree.
Christmas tree thing that's popped up in the lot, or they have extra sales and they bring in extra materials and stuff. So they want to throw up a temporary tent for 60 days or whatever to do sales out of, et cetera, et cetera. we tried to bake those kind of things into this so that we have the flexibility, as you stated, to make it happen for the businesses.
Yeah, I love the city manager discretion in this ordinance. I think it's great. I want to entertain a motion to recommend approval.
Motion to recommend approval for ordinance 2022-XX.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Langowski, seconded by Councilwoman Valladon. Roll call. Councilwoman Valladon.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Langowski.
Yes.
Mayor O'Connor.
Yes.
Councilwoman Leonard.
Yes.
Councilman Martinez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Before city attorney yells at me, let's open up for public comment.
I received no previous comment cards, Mayor. We'll give the virtual audience a moment to raise their virtual hand. If you wish to make a comment, please raise your virtual hand. If you've been muted, please press *6. Mayor, we have no comments.
Thank you. We got a motion, a second, and a vote. If there is no further business, I will adjourn this meeting at 5:48 PM. Thank you, LPA. We have a 12-minute intermission.